Welcome to another Company Heroes 3 video with me, your host Flux. Today we're going to be checking out the British Army. I'm going to be checking out all their abilities, the base buildings, the veterans abilities and their battlegroup abilities. So let's get into it. Okay, first up we've got the headquarters, and in the headquarters we're going to be making sappers with their Stein submachine guns. They are good for close range encounters. They're your support infantry and they're good for the construction and repair ability that they've got. Okay, next up we are going to have the Vickers heavy machine gun. You can suppress enemy and they're effective at all ranges with a Vickers 30 caliber machine gun. So if you find a lot of infantry, definitely a good one to get. Then you've got your medical station. You want to get one of these as soon as you can, because when you retreat your infantry back to base, you want to get them healed up and it'll do it automatically for you, so that's useful. Okay, and then we can also construct a barracks here to make your infantry section, your 81 mortar team and the dingo. And then we have the motor platoon. Here you're going to make your 6-pounder anti-tank guns, your Humber armoured cars, your CWT 15 tanks, Stuart light tanks, and your Bishop self-propelled artillery. And then you can construct an armoured platoon where you're going to get your Coldstream guards, and you're also going to get the Valentine cruiser tanks, Sherman medium tanks, Archer heavy tank destroyers, and your Churchill heavy tanks. So they're very useful. So first up we'll go with the units.
Sappers, reporting.
So we have the sappers. And your sappers can be equipped with the M2 flamethrower, great for anti-buildings, anti-infantry, very useful. You want to get one of them if you're facing a lot of infantry and people hiding in buildings. Then you've also got your hazard removal package, and you can get a minesweeper from this and wire cutters. So if they're using a lot of mines, the enemy, you can get them removed. So very useful as well. So you also have the flamethrower breach ability on these guys, so they can break into buildings, flame it all up for you, push MGs out of position. Very useful indeed. So also, you can, with these guys, make sandbags, barbed wire, you got your tank traps, and they can put down mines, because mines win games. So hopefully you can get some kills with some mines, or damage the stuff. And then also you have your repair tools, so you can repair all the vehicles and tanks and encampments and such. Then you have your anti-tank gammon mine, so you can get that engine damage on them and slowing down the enemy vehicles, cause some good damage to the enemy tanks and such. And then they also have the 69 hand grenade, great for taking on the enemy infantry. So they've got quite a lot of things you can do with these guys. These sappers, very good supporting unit. So next up we have the Vickers heavy machine gun team with their 30 cal heavy machine gun, good at suppressing infantry, and you can move them about so they'll suppress within the cone of fire. But if say they're trying to get past you, the enemy team, you're gonna need to move them and reposition them so you can suppress the enemies coming in on you. So very useful. And as the passive, they've got the rapid displacement, which will tear down the weapon more quickly so they can stop flanks a bit more easily. So very useful as well. Up next we have the barracks, and here in the barracks you can make your infantry sections with their Lee Enfield rifles. They're going to be upgraded with the Wrecker anti-tank or the LMG packages, and they are effective at all infantry. Next up we have the 81mm mortar team, effective at long range, do indirect fire, do a lot of damage indirectly with these guys, so useful to have. And then you have your Dingo light armoured vehicle, which is a light recon vehicle, effective at all ranges, but it is very squishy and will take a lot of damage to small arms fighters. You need to be careful with it. First we're looking at the infantry section, and with the infantry section you can upgrade them with the recon package, so they get 2x scoped light Lee Enfield rifles, making them good at longer ranges. Or you can go with the Boys anti-tank rifles, which are good against vehicles, and you can also pick up the Bren light machine guns, which improves damage at all ranges. Also in the barracks you can unlock the rifle grenades, Mills bomb grenades, and they're good against light infantry, useful to have. Right, and next up we have the mortar 81mm. These guys can do an 81mm barrage on the target area, doing a lot of damage as long as you can hit them. And you can also do a smoke barrage if you want to cover enemy MG and then rush up with your infantry on the other side. Very useful. And then they have a passive zeroing in. Each sequential barrage shot fired becomes more accurate, so useful. Okay, so next we have the motor platoon. In here you can unlock your Bishop self-propelled artillery, good for bombing the enemy. Then you can unlock the Stuart light tank, great for fighting infantry and other light armour. And the units you can be building in here are the anti-tank gun, fighting a lot of tanks, you want one of these. You can get the Humber armoured vehicle, great for fighting off infantry with its 20mm machine gun. Then you can have the CWT-15 light sport vehicle, can reinforce and heal. Then once you've upgraded you can get the self-propelled artillery Bishop, Great for firing its 105mm howitzer. And then once you've upgraded the Stuart, you get the 37mm main gun and a 30mm machine gun. Great for fighting those infantry, enemy, and light tanks. So let's look at the units. So, first up, we have the 6-pounder anti-tank gun. You can set it to focus on vehicles and just focus on everyone if needed, if you need a bit of extra firepower. But mainly they're here for taking on tanks in their cone of fire. You can also set it to fire at will or not fire at all. And you can also use the ability to target the weak point. And it will fire a high explosive shell, stuns the enemy vehicle for a short duration, and then you can send one of your other tanks or anti-AA infantry to take them out. Anti-tank infantry. And then you get vehicle awareness, which tracks enemy moving vehicles in the fog of war. Very useful. So then we've got the Humber armoured vehicle. This one has a smoke barrage, so you can cover off, say, an enemy MG or cover your retreat. Also, you've got covering smoke, so you can click this. Let's see what it does right now. And you can reverse out. See it? It doesn't look very big. But we've moved out, and then you can't get a line of sight on you. And then for the vectoring ability, recon mode disabled. Okay. This is going to increase your line of sight, but also slows your vehicle down. Okay, so you need to be careful if you're using that one. Next up, we've got the CWT light truck. Here you can upgrade it so it will do healing of the close by infantry when they're hurt. You can also recrew, say, an MG that's gone down and it's got no left in it. You can quickly click that and 2 dudes will run out and go crew it up for you. Next up, we're going to have a look at the Stuart light tank. This has got 2 upgrades. It's got the utility kit, and it increases its maximum speed and unlocks crew repair and the smoke barrage. Adds a passive repair as well, very useful, and canister smoke. Then you've got your tank commander, which is an aura, and the quick sweep ability, and it'll make your tanks and infantry do better on the field. And then for veteran 1, you've got the tread shot. So it'll temporarily stun and slow the movement speed of an enemy vehicle, so you can get in there, try and finish them off with something else. Next up, we've got the Bishop's self-propelled artillery with its 105mm howitzer. On here, you've got a couple of abilities. You've got the barrage, it'll fire at the target location, so you want to try and anticipate where they're going, or fire on the enemy static location. And you can also, when you get up to Vet 1, you've got the armor-piercing barrage. It'll fire armor-piercing rounds and a barrage location of your choosing. So if you want to take on a tank, it's not going to be amazing, but you can cause a bit of damage to it with the armor-piercing shells. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the armoured platoon. This is where you're going to be getting your Coldstream Guards, your Crusader medium tanks, Matilda heavy tanks, 17-pounder Pheasant anti-tank guns, and 25-pounder howitzer teams. But some of these aren't present right now, being pre-alpha. Okay, so here we have the unlock for the Churchill heavy tank. So you find a lot of infantry, it's good against that. It's good for soaking up a lot of damage from big tanks, but fighting them, its guns aren't really that strong enough. Then you want to go into the unlock for the Archer tank destroyer. So if you're fighting heavy armor, getting some of these to fight them off will be a good choice. So here we're looking at the Coldstream Guards. These are elite infantry. They're effective at short and medium range. And they have the Thompson machine guns and bazookas. So these guys are multi-purpose, good against tanks and infantry. Next up, we're looking at the Valentine medium tank. It's effective at close and medium range with its 2-pounder main gun. That's going to be fighting off tanks for you. So if you find a lot of tanks, get one of them to start you off. Need some at cheap, it's only 50 fuel. Then in with the M4A1 Sherman tank. Another medium tank with a 75mm M3 gun and 2 30-cal machine guns. It's good against infantry and tanks. It'll do decently against other tanks, but against really heavy tanks, it's going to need support. So next up, we've got the Mark III Churchill heavy tank with its 2-pounder main gun, and it can take a lot of damage, like we said earlier. So, good against infantry and light vehicles that can take a pounding from heavy ones, but it's going to need repairs. You're going to face them off. So, but while you're facing off with that Churchill, you can also bring up an Archer tank destroyer with its 17-pounder. While the Churchill's taking all the damage, sit this behind it. Archer tank destroyer's using its 17-pounder. That's what it's there for. Fight off the heavy tanks for you. So, and the last ability over here is withdraw and refit, and this only works with things you've bought out of this armoured platoon. So you can send it back, get a refund on the resources. Very good. If you need something else and you're stuck at PopCap, click it, send one of your tanks back, get the other one you need. There we go. Now let's have a look at the units themselves. So first up, we are going to be going with the Coldstream Guards. These guys can be given Thompsons, so they're extra effective at close range. Very good upgrade if you want to get that. They also have the ability to throw a light gammon bomb. Definitely useful for taking on those infantry. It'll cause a lot of damage if you can hit directly. And then the vet ability is the squad can move faster and receive a combat bonus of charge. So very nice. Like that, they'll move around faster. And then you can throw your grenade and upgrade you guys. It'll take a little while. There's no icon yet, but this is what happens with it. And there we go. That's the Coldstream Guards. Next up, Valentine medium tank. This one has a upgrade for the Commander Post package. Unlocks the forward observer ability and barrage. Very nice. Then we also have a war speed. Increases in acceleration and deceleration. Makes the speed faster as well. So good for flanking enemy tanks. And next up we have the M4A1 Sherman. You can mount a pintle mounted MG on top of it. Very useful for fighting infantry. This is going to be your mainstay tank. You're going to be using this a lot when you fight as the British. You're going to be fighting people off for these for now. Then upgrade to them heavier tanks as you get further in. And it can also do a white phosphorus round, which is blinding and disables the enemy vehicle's weaponry. That's great. That could be very useful in a pinch. Next up we have the Mark III Churchill heavy tank, but it's 2-pounder. It's good against the effective at close and medium range infantry and light vehicles, like we said. Take a good pounding. And its special ability is the smoke. It'll cover the advance of your infantry if you want to use it to do that. Creates a line of smoke, so if you move forward and pop the ability, it'll put smoke out for you and you can follow up behind with your infantry and under the cover of smoke. Very useful. And next up we have the Archer Tank Destroyer, effective at long range, and for that special ability at Vet 1 you get a first strike. So after 10 seconds of it being stationary you get a 100% hit chance and pen chance on that next shot. Very good. So if you want to set up an ambush, this is the unit for you. Okay, now we're going to be taking a look at the battle group options you're going to get to choose from as you level up during the match. First up we have a Churchill Black Prince heavy tank. Here it comes. Now your Churchill Black Prince heavy tank has got the 17-pounder on, so as opposed to your normal Mark III Sherman, this Sherman can take a beating and give out a beating with its massive 17-pounder gun. Effectively all heavy tanks, medium range and long range, so this is a very useful unit. It also comes with the infantry smoke ability at Vet 1, and it'll pump out the smoke every 2 seconds and create a line of smoke so you can follow in with infantry. Very useful indeed. Next up, we can call in support for the units in the area. This one will call a recon plane to loiter the target location and targets for off-map artillery in case they've got enemies in that zone. Next up, we've got the mark target ability. This will mark an enemy tank and it'll be reconned on that unit for a decent amount of time, and that will allow you to know what it is on the map in the fog of war and maybe chase it if you're trying to get the kill. Next up, we'll call in the Crusader AA medium tank. It's good and effective against aircraft, infantry and light vehicles. So this one doesn't seem to have any veteran ability right now, but it's pretty decent against infantry as I've used it. So that's a useful ability and vehicle to get. Okay, next on your battle group call-ins, you can call in a Churchill heavy tank. So if you haven't teched up yet, you can call this heavy tank in to fight for you. This also comes with the infantry smoke when it reaches Vet 1 to cover your advance of infantry. So very useful. If you're in a pinch and you need a tank, you can take a beating, call in one of these Churchill heavy tanks, Mark III. And your next ability is going to be the fuel drop. You can just call this in at your base and you'll get 30 fuel per drop. We'll use as engineers here to pick it up for us. So if you're desperate for some extra fuel, this will be very handy to just pop in your base using the units you've either retreated or just made and pick up a total of 60 fuel. Very handy indeed. Okay, now we're going to take the look at the second battle group for the British. And the first ability they've got is the War Cry, which increases the infantry speed and rate of fire. Very useful for fighting off heavy pushes from the enemy or making one of your own. And they'll move faster and have an increased weapon accuracy and rate of fire as they go with this ability. Very useful. Next up, we've got the Perimeter Monitor. Its defensive ability will activate off-map 25-pounder artillery and it will fire on enemy infantry in friendly territory sectors, which will be very useful if someone's trying to cap one of your points. So another useful ability there. Next up, we've got the Gurkha rifles. These guys are just here. The Gurkhas are elite infantry. They've got elite Enfield rifles. and they can be upgraded with Thompson submachine guns for excellent up-close personal gunfire. Also the Bren light machine guns for more long to medium range fights. They also have the Granali assault grenade, which will be useful for fighting enemy infantry. And then you can also throw a smoke grenade to cover your retreat or advances. And they also have the Eo Gorkali ability. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but there you go. What does this do? Okay, it's got combat and speed bonuses, debuffs nearby enemy infantry. Sounds good. Fight speed and combat bonus, and striking fear in the hearts of the enemy infantry. Sounds useful, indeed. So next up, we have the BL 5.5 heavy artillery encampment. That is this one here on the right. It's a howitzer. It can do heavy damage. We'll have a crack with this one. We'll shoot this right here. While that's happening, we've got a precision shot. Fires a single precise artillery shell, but you're going to need a vet one against that, and you're going to also, it's good against all targets. And is that ever landing? Yes, it is. Oh, it looks quite good. So it seems like a useful encampment. Next up in this doctrine, we have the 25-pounder encampment made by your sappers. Very effective against targets, structures, and infantry. So we're going to blast that off with the heavy barrage. The heavy barrage is area of effect and direct artillery. So let's see how it looks. Should be amazing. Well, that's coming down. When you get to vet 1, you get the heavy airburst barrage, which should be great. The shells will go off in the air above them and should just pummel them with all sorts of debris and fire and death. So that should be really amazing. So there you have it. Made by your sappers. So it'll be under the S here, and you can make the BL 5.5-inch, or you can make the QF 25-pounder. So there we have it, the British faction in Company Heroes 3. I hope you found this helpful, informative. If you did, please like it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. And I hope to catch you in the next one. This is Flux. Out.